How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about OCGN, which ended up getting some big news inside of the after hours on Friday. I was getting a lot of messages, people telling me, Dre, did you hear what's been going down? Why aren't you doing an update video? You guys need to follow me on Twitter. I came even on Webull letting you guys know how excited I was. So now I'm doing this YouTube video for you guys because I want to make sure you're prepared for tomorrow. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for OCGN. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $3.46, being down 1.14%. On the low, it tested $3.39, and then on the high, testing $3.60. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 12.924 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 7.303 million shares. So we did have above average volume on the day. We had some selling, but again, not too far off. But one thing that I want to bring to your attention, you can see inside of the after hours, we had a strong spike where we got to $5.24. And where we closed, according to Webull, was at $4.43. So keeping this in mind, it's going to be very interesting going into Tuesday. But let's take a look at some factors. We are using the 4-hour chart, and on the RSI, we are at 69.70. And what normally happens when OCGN has spikes like this, it's usually followed by a strong sell-off. So going into tomorrow, what I'd want to see, we need to hold up at least $4. That will be essential. The high on the Friday was at $3.60. So holding up $4 and being proven support, then I can look forward to seeing us making this jump back to testing 5 on Tuesday. If we do not get that and we break through that $4 level, we'll come back to trading to the levels where we were at, right in the mid $3 range, and I'm talking about $3.60 and so forth, and we close at $3.46. We do have earnings that is coming up on February the 25th. We know it is not going to be stellar. So there's a very good chance we could witness a pullback. So I would not recommend whatsoever buying near the top, especially if it cannot hold up the $4 level. I want to make sure I'm really emphasizing that. Of course, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion, but we have to make sure we pay attention to what has happened in the past. And every time we get these spikes, they are always followed by strong sell-offs. But nonetheless, let's see how the stock performs for this coming week. Now let's get into the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for OCGN. So green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings we have for February the 17th, we have Virtu Financial LLC that purchased 91,959 shares. Going back, we have closed positions for the 15th. We can see for the 14th, we have Nathahala Capital Management LLC that purchased just over 63,000 shares. And we also have Paloma Partners Management Company that purchased 14,577 shares. And then when we take a look further, more institutions with new positions, we have Point72 Hong Kong Limited that purchased 73,683 shares. We have ETF Managers Group LLC that purchased 60,487 shares. We also have Two Sigma Securities LLC that purchased 28,149 shares. And we have HRT Financial LP that purchased 36,453 shares. And then we have Cubis Systematic Strategies LLC that purchased 27,626 shares. We have South Point Capital Advisors LP, bullish here, well over 1.3 million shares. And we have Schroeder Investment Management Group that purchased just under 359,000 shares. We also have Engineers Gate Manager LP that purchased 82,518 shares. And then we could see a put value of 30,500 shares from Bluefin Capital Management LLC. And we go down even more. We have Parallax Volatility Advisors LP with a call value of 16,100. We also have Parallax that went in with a put with a value of 2,900 shares. And we also do see that they have a share position at 4,776 as well as some more closed positions. And then we go down even more for the 14th. We have Snowden Capital Advisors LLC that purchased 100 shares. We have GSA Capital Partners that purchased 15,718 shares. And then we have Alpine Global Management LLC that has 19,646 shares. And then we have Cap Trust Financial Advisors that purchased 1 share. Like, really? They got to report that? But anyways, we see some more closed positions, and that's what we got all the way back going to the 14th. And another thing that I want to bring to your attention as well, when we take a look at the chart, institutions have been loading up quite a bit, especially when we take a look at what's been happening most recently. So this is great for anyone that's seeing OCGN for a long-term investment. Now, when we go into the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 48.49%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is at 908,528 shares. Scrolling down further on short shares availability is at 300,000, updated 12 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 17.81%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we could see for the close of the 17th, it was at 57.47, and then for the close of the 18th, being at 48.49. So that is a significant decrease right there, but one thing that still remains clear, OCGN does have short squeeze potential. So now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for OCGN. So we see here on the inflow, it is at 2.25, and on the outflow, it's at 4.86. Keep in mind, these numbers are in the millions. Let's take a look at the breakdown. On the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 1.17. Then on the small, it was 1.08. And then on the outflow side, on the large, it was 0.25. On the medium, it was 3.18. And then on the small, it was 1.43. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for February the 18th, it being that outflow of 0.25. And keep in mind, this is in the millions. And then when we see February the 17th, we have another outflow of 0.85. And the last inflow day we had was on February the 15th of 0.61. And prior to that, on the 14th, it being another outflow of negative 1.32 million. When we analyze the numbers further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, represents whales, institutions, or funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 6.49%. So this is up there, but we have to understand OCGN is a volatile stock. And there also is a good amount of bag holders that are inside of this play. So the moment we get a strong pop, that's where we get hit with the selling. We also have to take into consideration on the Friday, there is a lot of volatility. We have a lot of tension going on inside of the markets. So I know you guys are saying you haven't been talking much about after hours. I'll talk about that in the final thoughts. So let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for OCGN, first let's go over the press release. So Ocugen Inc. announces US FDA lifts clinical hold on the submission of its investigational new drug application for its COVID-19 vaccine candidate, Covaxin BBV152. So this is definitely some great news, and it does give a lot of confidence to shareholders. But there's one thing that I want to make sure I'm being very clear about. In regards to the price action that we saw inside of the after hours, we spiked up above $5. But then we automatically started seeing a good amount of selling pressure. And like I was saying before, there's a lot of bag holders in this play. So going into Tuesday in the pre-market, keep a very close eye to see this selling pressure actually does continue. But one of the key levels that you want to see hold up is $4 going into the open. If $4 cannot hold, then I could see this stock going back to $3.30, especially since they do have earnings that is coming up at the end of the week. We're not going to be having big expectations here. We know that they are burning through a lot of cash. And with the current conditions we have inside of the market, this is not a good sign whatsoever. And this is why I'm saying there's a good chance we could witness a pullback. But like I said, we need to hold 4. If we could hold 4 throughout this entire week, that's where I can see us getting back to $5. And I know many traders are going to be watching the same variables that I'm looking at. I'm also being asked, so Dre, are you going to be going in with a position now? And the answer is no, because there's just too much volatility ahead, and I don't see a strong risk to reward ratio on this play. I will be continuing to keep an eye on it, but I just want to make sure I'm being completely transparent with you guys. And if you are going to be buying into ocugen, it is fairly speculative. You just know that it's going to take quite a bit of time before they could actually move further and get Covaxin launched in Canada and as well as for the United States. Again, it was just a clinical hold that has been lifted. So if you are getting in, that means you believe in the long-term prospects and you see that ocugen is going to be able to have some strong revenues off of Covaxin, plus on top of that, making sure the drugs that they have in their pipeline are going to be launched successfully. So if you believe in all of these variables, then you have every reason to be bullish, but do your homework and do your due diligence. The last thing that I want you guys doing is getting in at the top just to see people start selling out and then you're pissed off. Because if you do believe in it and if it does pull back, you're going to add more to your position. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. And we've known this for quite some time. And then when we took a look at the recent institutional ownership, we could see institutions have been loading up on shares as well. And this is why I emphasize you want to have a strategy, whether it's for the short term, the medium term, or the long term. Just know when institutions are buying up shares, they're looking at the long-term prospects. So when we go on Fintel, taking a look at all of these filings and so forth, that's just one thing that you're going to want to keep in mind. Institutions are not focused on being day traders unless it's a high volume liquid stock, and for that they're using computers and algos. But apart from all of that, I'm excited on this FDA decision and what this means. We are going in the right direction to giving people more options when it comes to vaccines. We know there's been a lot of hesitancy, and knowing that Covaxin uses a traditional technology will go a long way with people wanting to be more accepting. And we also have to take into consideration things will be going back to normal, and it becomes even more important to make sure that people have options in regards to vaccines. I know I sound like a broken record here, but these are the variables that we need to pay attention to. At the end of the day, it comes down to supply and demand, and we want to see if Covaxin can be able to stand out from the competition. As far as for the results, as far as for the effectiveness, as far as for the safety, we know that it is right up there with the best of them, and now we need to see what ocugen can do in regards to providing value to shareholders and to make sure that they are executing and meeting their goals. So if you're interested in the stock and you want to build a position or maybe add to your position, I would keep a close eye on that earnings report and also listen out for that earnings call. You want to see how much they're burning through that cash that they are holding, because that is very important, because the market is going to take that into consideration, and that's going to contribute to more volatility that you see in the play. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how OCGN performs for this coming week. We'll talk soon.